Hello there and welcome to this really exciting webinar this afternoon, morning or evening. I say evening, there may be some very tired people in Asia and Australia around the globe joining us. I know there's certainly one on the sign up, so a very warm welcome to you all wherever you're dialing in from today. And you're in for a real treat over the next 45 minutes. So stay with us while I'm going to introduce the amazing Bridie Kellaran, who is at ATU, and she's going to be sharing more around the career and learning pathways that she's been dedicated to over the past 12 months. But before we do that, I'd love just to be able to share a little bit more around Strengths Profile, just in case any of you are new. So if you don't know me, my name's Trudy Bateman, and I'm the Director of Strengths Profile at Capfinity. I expect many of you being practitioners will probably recognise me, so do say hi on the chat. In terms of how the chat will work for us, what we're going to be doing is I'm also privileged to have my colleague Dan Dan Collinson with me today. You probably know Dan too. So he's going to be monitoring that chat. So we'd love to hear from you throughout the session, and we'll be saving those questions for Bridie through we might ask you one or two throughout, Bridie, but most of them we're going to save for the end for you. But if you've got any SP questions throughout, please do use Dan and myself that we can answer those questions for you as we go. So a very warm welcome, and let's get going then in terms of what we've got in store for you today. So as I say, I'm going to be introducing Bridie and her team. You'll actually get quite a rest from me today. I'm just going to be asking Bridie some questions around the amazing work that she's been doing. But just in case anyone's new to SP or Strengths Profile, I'm just going to give a very high level overview of the assessment. So because Bridie's going to be doing lots of screen sharing and lots of kind of detail analysis on Strengths Profile. So I thought if you just don't have that knowledge first, you may get lost on her amazing journey. So within Strengths Profile, the online strengths assessment, we've got 60 strengths. So there are 60 that we measure for behind the scenes. So that's quite a lot to get your teeth into when you're doing the coaching. But of course, it's all about taking action within the results. So within that, we measure performance, energy and use, and that's really critical. The energy is the key part of the strengths assessment. So what we do well, what we love to do, what we get out of bed in the morning for, and what we do often. Once we've got that assessment, once we know those results, we then reveal to you your realised strengths, your unrealised strengths, your learned behaviours and your weaknesses. So it looks like this that you can see on the screen here in terms of the quadrant there. So that's what we reveal in the profile, and that's what Bridie's been using the introductory profiles there. The really important part is that it focuses on the model of development. So it's not just about the profile in front of you, it's what you do with it. We all know strengths makes a difference when you're taking action, or any coaching model, it's about the action that you take working towards your goals. So within each of the quadrant areas, you've got a model of development. So in your realised strengths, we want you to use them wisely. For your learned behaviours, we want you to use them when needed, because these can be a bit draining. Weaknesses, we want you to use them less, and your unrealised strengths, we want you to use those more. And this is the area of potential, and I know Bridie's going to talk a little bit more around that too. We've got 6 different profiles available, but Bridie's going to focus on our introductory profile, where she'll sort of use the career guide that's featured in that one as well. And over to date, we've got around 1 million assessments in 120 countries. But today, we're focused on Bridie, and I'm going to introduce her now in terms of what I'd love to, I guess, so I'm going to stop sharing my screen now, Bridie, and give you a chance to share yours. But a very warm welcome and thank you for spending the time with us here today at Strengths Profile.
Thank you very much, Trudy, for inviting myself, and I know I'm joined by 2 of my colleagues here, so thank you so much. I really appreciate that, and I hope I can live up to those fabulous introductions you're giving me, but I'll try.
So introduce yourself, Bridie, for our audience here in terms of your role and what you do currently.
Okay, so my name is Bridie Kellaran. I work with the Atlantic Technological University, and I've worked there now for nearly 20 years in the role of higher education. And I suppose my background is very much with undergraduates and some postgraduates and the higher education field, working with students. And I suppose my specialist area is around employability. So there have been the initiatives I've been involved in. So I then applied for a program and a project, and this was a project in Ireland. It's the HCI project, Human Capital Initiative. And this is where the government has put funding to help higher education link with industry and people in the workplace, to give people a second chance in coming back to, kind of reignite their interest in higher education. But also, and you're probably finding this, across the globe, is that the demand now for, employees upskilling, reskilling, and really to focus on this new agenda of digitalization and, sustainability, etc. There's demand now so that we are preparing for the future of business. And this is kind of where we got funding from and under this project called the Higher Ed 4.0 project. And this was to pilot a program, an online program, giving career guidance to people in the workplace. And also it encompasses recognition of prior learning. So if you're working and you want to get recognition for that work experience you've had, that also comes under the umbrella of our project. So that's kind of briefly, I don't know if I explained that right,
Yeah.
but a brief introduction.
And I think it will all come to kind of fruition, Bridie, when you start sharing a little bit more around it. But I'd love to just kind of think, I know that it's been a journey for you, hasn't it? And you've utilised some of your own strengths very much in the process. And we've been chatting through that. What was your vision for this? Obviously, we're here to talk about the My Career Pathway. What was your vision? How did you bring that energy to the project?
Yeah, I suppose my motivation was when I worked in careers in the university at an undergraduate level, I was always been asked about giving support to people in the workplace to help them get some guidance around what they should be doing and what courses they could do and career development. But we didn't have the time. We could barely kind of cope with the workload that we had internally. So my vision here was to give people this opportunity of this guidance to help them identify their strengths and align this with courses, available. Because we all know there's so many courses now. We've got micro credentials. There's such an array of courses for people to choose from. It's very difficult for them to make those choices, but also to have the confidence to go back to do this very often. So that really was my motivation from where I was coming from. When I started this project, the first thing I had to do was to recruit a team of 8 people into the project. So they were professional career guidance people. And as I say, Peter and Patrick are here today, but they have experience in the workplace. So you were bringing people in that had that experience and could understand what the frustrations or the challenges were for people in the workplace. But why we loved also the strengths, I would have used that with undergraduate students. And I also piloted a program with Access in the university with kind of DESH schools. These were schools that didn't have a high percentage of their students going on to higher education. So we used the strengths profile. This was very much in person as part of a program within the university. And there was such a really good response to it. And that's why we brought the strengths profile to this online portal that we've developed, which is mycareerpath.ie. And I was passionate about that because I was introduced to strengths 10 years ago. And instinctively, I just really liked it because I liked the positive nature of it. And I don't know whether it's an Irish thing, but we don't celebrate our strengths enough. And, we all kind of focus on the weaknesses, and that's how we were, kind of maybe, misguided, where I just like this is that really celebrating our strengths. And I just saw how people responded to this this assessment.
Yeah.
And that's why we brought it with us to our project.
Amazing. And very shortly, Bridie, I'm going to ask you to just kind of walk us through the journey, just so we can visualize the hard work that you and your team have put into this and the differences that you're making. A couple of comments, observations. I think it's a human thing. I don't think it's an Irish thing. I think you probably know that as soon as you get a strengths profile, people soon look down, don't they, rather than look up, despite how many strengths that they've got. So we all need encouragement to be thinking about our amazing strengths. And I started my career out, I'm sure most of you have heard this story, by a colleague dropping a radiator on their foot and me volunteering to take over her role temporarily. There has to be a better way to find out where your strengths and skills lie for those future career paths. So yeah, Bridie, when you're ready, walk us through the journey that you're taking your learners on.
Okay, brilliant. So I'll just share my screen here now, and I have some slides, and I'll talk you through these very quickly. So here, hopefully you all can see okay, but you'll see the icon for My Career Path. And we launched this time last year, actually. And this was offering career guidance to people in the workplace. And as I say, I'm joined here as well by my colleagues in the audience, Peter Smith and Patrick Calvi, and you might see those later. So when I talked about the Higher Ed 4.0 project, and that's what our project is called, there's kind of 3 themes to it. And we received 12.6 million, which was fantastic, because very often that's the problem in higher education. You are restricted with resources and, what you can actually do. So here you'll see theme 1 and up on the left-hand side of your screen. And this is where we were funded to put pathways into and through higher education, a regional service. And we're based at the Atlantic Technological University in a beautiful part of Ireland, in the northwest of Ireland. It's stunning, but it's a very challenging part of the country because there's not a huge amount of industry there. So, this was a really nice initiative to start, and the idea would be that it would be a good prototype maybe for a national service, and that's really how we went about it. So moving on then to the strengths profile, but just to say, since we launched, over 750 learners have come through our pathways. We have 11 case studies with enterprise in our region. That's been fantastic in terms of helping people reignite that interest in higher education, and very often giving people a second chance. And I know Peter will talk to some of those stories later on of learners that we've brought through our program. So what we're going to just talk about today is how we've used strengths on my career path. And here on your screen, you will see the 5 personas. So we developed 5 personas. And because we loved the strengths profile so much, we integrated that into each of the learning pathways for those personas. The other thing we're going to talk about is that we had some funding also to develop an online program for young people that might feel disengaged from education. And again, we're going to just showcase a little bit of what we developed there and what has been piloted now with over 100 students at the moment. So the first one I'm just going to show about the Access program for young people that might feel disengaged. And initially when we did this program, we did it on campus, and this was roughly about 6 years ago. And it was a fantastic response. And ideally, that's the ideal way to do it. In person, we had breakout rooms, we had a full team of people working with these young students, and it was very positive. So this is the online program, and again, we'll show you this live in a few minutes. But what we did was we had a series of videos to explain what the strengths profile is and what the program is. And we gamified it up a little bit to make it interactive and make it interesting for a young person. So the next thing, I suppose, what we did, we introduced it. It's totally online, but it can be used in a blended format. So a lot of the groups that we work with the mentors that are in either secondary schools, in youth projects like Foróga, but also various, as I say, youth groups. And we work with the supervisors to help them with this program. And we support them in delivering out this program with their learners because they know how best to work with their group of learners. It is an online forum. As I say, we've tried to do the best in helping them understand and reflect on their strengths. So we built in interactive activities that were easy to use. And again, we'll showcase those now in a few minutes. We wanted to identify their personal strengths and to see how can this link to a career. And obviously they get a fantastic careers report, which is a really good starting point. And then what we did, we aligned the sectors within our university and the courses within the Atlantic Technological University. So that's fantastic. So when you have over 500 courses, now we had a little tool here to help them break down what might suit my strengths. And this was very powerful for people. Then finally, I suppose the mentors that we use were from youth groups, access officers, the community organizations, schools, etc. And we had fantastic response and how they're using it with their students. And at the moment, to date, we just launched this time last year, 175 strengths users within the groups above, and obviously we're evaluating the program. So when you see it live, you will see these 4 different steps that they will go through. So first of all, step one is understanding their strengths. So what we wanted to make sure that people understood what was expected from them. So we explained what the strengths profile does. We highlighted the types of questions you'll be asked, what it's going to look like when you go in to do it. So again, building that motivation and interest for them. We showed them what a sample report would look like. So that was really important for people that might be a bit skeptic about doing this. The second stage is then where we bring them to the assessment, they complete the assessment, but at least they're armed with what the expectations are from them. The third phase then really is the most important piece, I think, and that's reflecting on their strengths. So here they have the report, right, so what? What does this say to me? And then the little activities that we try to gamify some of these activities and make it a little easier for them to use and explore what it's saying to them. And then finally, linking their strengths to courses within the ATU. So at least they're walking away with some idea about courses if they do want to activate that and come back in. So here's just a little screenshot of what the videos look like. And they're really nice. We used both male and female voices and, just made it a little bit fun really for them to understand what is this all about and what's this report about. Here's just a screenshot then of the actual strengths, activities. So here, this little person with the sword was able to move up between your realized strengths. You were able to tick them off and to win some gold coins when you got the answers right. Also then there was little short questions again, which was generated by you, Trudy, with all those fantastic resources that we got. My proudest strengths are, I'd be lost with. Now, this was really good in a peer group. When they worked with each other, this was really powerful. But what we were trying to do was to have this in an online form, which is not ideal, but at least those activities were there for the mentors to work with their student groups, because this is really where we found and the powerful part of the strengths profile is when they were together, because their peer group were confirming your strength and saying, I always knew that about you, Bridie. And that was so powerful for, especially for young people that very often have challenges around the language of strengths and really been, verbalizing their strengths. So this is again a screenshot of where we broke down the various sectors within our university. So engineering, science, business, the creative arts. And then behind this, we had the courses. So at least when you have the career report that highlights the sectors, then they're able to filter down then to the courses. And that's very often the challenging part for students and incoming students or prospective students is all of these courses, how can I break it down and help me identify the 1, 2, 3 choices that I need to focus on. The other thing we did was we developed the strengths wheel. So, again, you get a really good report and there's really good definitions and obviously the families. And we were trying to see how can we explain these strength families? How can we, kind of have it more interactive around the definitions? Now, there's still a bit of work to be done in this, and I just want to say that, but we're at the starting point of it. And I know in our evaluations from the learners, they've come back with really good tips and how we can develop this further. Now, I know they're all kind of really mad colors, but the strengths wheel, and again, we'll demo this in a few minutes, but you can see, I know it's crazy colors, but we kind of had, each of the families, we had colored coded the definitions and the strengths that were related to those, families. So again, it was just trying to help people understand the families and also the definition. So when you hover over your definition, it gave you the definition. But as I say, we're capturing all the feedback from young people going through this, and the next iteration we're going to have it better. That's the idea. So again, brilliant feedback from our learners. I enjoy, this is now from young people. So they, typically, 15, 16 years of age. I enjoyed the strengths profile. It gave me good insight on what I could do in the future, as I wasn't so sure beforehand. It helped me realize my skills and qualities about myself that I would never have thought about. I found it very beneficial. It gave me a thorough insight into characteristics and traits I possess that prior to the program I had no clue about. Wonderful team, were really kind and helpful and helped me get a better understanding of what I want to do in the future. It gave me confidence. It made me aware of the opportunities for me. I could go to college, gained insight into some skills that may be helpful in future careers. It helped me narrow down my career paths and courses. The definitions given were very easy to understand. I liked that one, because sometimes I found maybe some of the language that they might find it challenging, but they really did understand them. Um, it was good to get insight into my strengths. I feel it's given me the opportunity to explore different courses and my strengths and abilities. So that was just a sample of some of the feedback. Now, the next thing that I'm going to talk about briefly is how we use the strengths with my career path. And this is where we developed these 5 learning pathways for people in the workplace. And again, this is, as I say, we've had 750 learners now from the workplace come on our career learning pathway. It's typically a 6-week program, and we bring them to 4 stages of this program. The first stage is where we get them to look inward, to look at their interests, their motivations, and their strengths. Then the second stage of the program is where we get them to look outward, and we have a bank of resources and little short articles and courses to help build their confidence and insights in terms of what they've learned about themselves in the first phase. The third stage of the program is where we help them build their portfolio. So if, for example, they're hoping to apply for recognition of prior learning, we have things like CV Builder, CV 360, Interview 360, all of these resources online to help them build an effective portfolio so they can gain entry into a course within the university or get exemptions into a course. And then the final stage is when they've put all of the learnings together in a career development plan with their goals moving forward that they can walk away with. So again, fantastic, response. But interestingly, we brought in the strengths profile. We have a platform that we use. It has all the assessments that we need. It has the personality assessments, but it didn't have the strengths assessment, and we really wanted this. So that was the only one that we brought into this program. And it is the one that always scores very high, from the most high. That one and the team focus personality indicator are the 2 highly scored resources that learners really resonate with them, and they really like it. And Peter can talk a little bit more to that, because he's working with the learners on the ground, in terms of doing that. Okay, so then this is after they've completed their strengths profile. We also align some of these articles and some of these resources on our platform to help them, I suppose, reflect on and understand more. But really, the reports they receive back from Capfinity is very good, and really they get so much from it. So here you just see the resources to the left-hand side that we have that we'll show you now in a few minutes, but also you can see the program. Starting blocks is the looking in piece. On your marks is where we bring them to the e-learning resources like you see on our platform on the left-hand side. Get set is when they consolidate all of the information that they need to take the next step forward. And then finally, they have their career development plan. So that's really the program. Impact then for lifelong learners. It highlighted my key strengths as well as my additional strengths, obviously your unrealized strengths that I was not aware of. This in turn helped me confirm that I was going in the right direction towards an area that interested me and where I would hopefully succeed. Discovering my strengths and weaknesses, what I can improve on, and what jobs would suit my skills and experience. I liked the assessment. It gave you a job. Sorry, I'm not able to actually see that side because the screen is covering over. I like how the assessment gave you job ideas and very detailed information and insights into what you could do as a person. Strengths and weaknesses, I think it just gives you really good insight you need overall life. Okay, so we're just going to, I'll stop sharing now, and we'll just demo just briefly the site. Patrick is just going to demo, so just so you'll have a better feel maybe from a live site and what it looks like. If that's okay.
Thanks, Bridie. Probably just worth mentioning, anybody who's listening to this later on, this is the bit that we are going to pause the recording for, but the slides give you a really good overview of the assessments and the In the Pathway platform that Bridie's shared. Thank you.
Hi, Peter.
It's
Oh,
just
yeah.
rerouting me through. Hi, everyone. Lovely to meet you all, and lovely to meet you, Trudy, in person, as opposed to the accreditation that I recognise you from.
Thank you for being here today and to share some of the stories. So I understand that you're one of the advisors and you're going to share a little bit more around your experience.
Yeah, so me and my colleagues, I'm one of the Career and Learning Pathways advisors, and just, I suppose I'm with the project team just nearly a year and a half now. And I came from the military here in Ireland, and leadership and management roles for around 20 years. And I was very interested in this area and did further study in postgraduate qualifications, and was lucky enough to do my placement in GMIT as it was, but ATU with Bridie, and when a job came up, I applied for it. So that's how I came about joining the team. But I suppose in building out the platform, we chose Strengths Profile as one of the main tools that we would use with our learners because of all those things that Bridie alluded to and how much we like it. The benefits for using it are obviously well documented for both individuals, people that use their strengths and are aware of them, or they have increased engagement, less stress, they're able to set and attain goals, and even for organizations, because we do work with organizations as well and try to pilot with them and show them the benefit of offering CPD opportunities for their employees. And obviously Strengths Profile as a part of that, it can lead to increased productivity, profitability, retention, and all those good things as well. So some of the main reasons I suppose we wanted to include it, which were very obvious at the start, but it became even more apparent over the last year since we've launched the project, was that it really, it focused on that positivity, that positive psychology. It really built confidence and created a more open mindset to what strengths and skills that the learners brought to the table. And a lot of them weren't aware of those strengths, be it their realized strengths, the difference between realized strengths, learned behaviors, because people thought what they're good at are their strengths, but, to create the awareness around the differences in those and how they could leverage them, or maybe dial up or dial down, and then their unrealized strengths as well, speaking to their potential and how they can bring, added impact to their work and life in general. A lot of our learners as well would never have done anything like this before, especially some people we're dealing with, from disadvantaged backgrounds, maybe are in the workplace a long time, have never attended third level education. They would never have done psychometric questionnaires or strengths profiles. They don't have the option to go and avail of career services, on the high street if you want. It's not readily available for them. So this service like this is really eye-opening for them, we find, builds their confidence and really brings that open mindset to learning as well. We found it incredibly empowering for them and a lot of our learners to see their strengths on paper and get the opportunity to speak to a mentor or obviously a strengths profile accredited coach about deciphering and going through their strengths profile and everything. And we use it, as Bridie said, as part of our access program with our Strengths Path program. And I was talking to one of our colleagues that works down there, Kirsten, who is a strengths profile accredited coach, and she was working through our youth group for OIGA and linked in with Direct Provision Centre up in Mayo, which is quite a rural part of Ireland, which, people seeking asylum are going here and they're awaiting their documentation to be processed and everything. So it's quite a difficult time for it. And she was dealing with a young lady here who, wasn't aware of the funding that was available if she wanted to go for third level education. She wasn't even aware of what she wanted to do. So she went through the Strengths Path program. She did all of that online. She was able to reflect on it using the activities and everything. And then in addition to that, sat down with our colleague Kirsten and had that one-to-one session. And the feedback we got was fantastic, that, she said herself that the strengths profile was brilliant. It really helped her, see the strengths that she brought to the table, and I've mentioned that already, but as well as that, the options and the potential that was there. So now, because of doing that and opening her mindset to that, she's now aware that she can avail of funding while she's waiting for her asylum to be processed, and she's applied for a third level education spot this coming September, and she really valued the strengths profile and the one-to-one interaction with that coach as well. So you can see how it really worked well as part of the Strengths Path program there. The fact that it focuses on positive psychology instead of focus on what people, you know, especially the disengaged youth and everything, can focus on what maybe I can't do or don't do so well. So to flip that script again is so empowering and positive, that's why we really like using it, I suppose. It also can really help when we're dealing with people through mycareerpath.ie that are working in industry or already at work, you know, help them with goal setting. We find that through our discussions, we can highlight maybe some of the potential, especially through unrealized strengths, and, you know, set some goals around that. And a lot of the learners I've worked with also found that the strengths profile and the report and the sessions have been confirmatory in nature and have given them real confidence that they're probably on the right path and they're doing the right things, but maybe they haven't engaged with third level education before, or they might have dropped out. So their confidence is really low, but they do want to take that next step. And it's a bit of a, you know, it can be quite daunting for someone who isn't au fait or familiar with that area. And the strengths profile can really, you know, confirm that they're going the right direction, they're targeting the right courses and personal development, and, you know, give them the confidence to take that next step. And then me and my colleagues can act as that, you know, a mentor that can demystify that whole process around what courses are there for them, what ones are you know, most relevant for them, and how to even apply for them, or what resources they could engage with. I suppose the strengths career guide as well, we find in the introductory report, is really good as a conversation starter as well, to, you know, speak to the potential there and different areas that align well with people's strengths profile. You know, some learners get a lot more value out of it than others. You know, they can dismiss certain aspects of it or something, but yeah, some people get great value out of it as well. So that was just a general overview, I suppose, of why we use strengths profile and the value we find in it. And I wanted to mention one particular case was Michael, who came on an online session that we had quite recently. He was a learner that went through it, I think it was late last year, into the new year. And Michael had never finished second level education. He'd gone on to work as a mechanic for a number of years, and then had moved to a company in the medtech industry on the west coast here. But he was quite, you know, daunted by the possibility of going back to further his education and everything like that, and moving towards a management position, even though, as he said himself, he was always doing that at work as well, because people always went to him. He was a job fixer. He was always the guy that people went to to help out with whatever machine was breaking down and things like that. And when he did the strengths profile, I've written down a couple of things that really came out for him was, you know, his realized strengths. He had service, explainer, and things like that. And it really solidified for him that he was in that role already, and these speak to his strengths, and that he was given the confidence to apply for a work-based learning apprenticeship that he can do both at work and then go part-time to college starting this September. And even some of his unrealized strengths, I went back and had a look at it again, and I remember talking to him about his organizer, his competitiveness, his bounce back, his resilience. They all came back now, and, you know, he could really leverage those going back to college. And we looked at courses to build up his maths knowledge. It was an area he wasn't, you know, 100% confident in, and linked him in with the resources in the college as well and everything like that. And now I think he is starting in September, and his eldest daughter is also going to college for the first time, and like, she's very proud of him and he's very proud of her. And it's a lovely little story around how that has given that person a lot of confidence to pursue their career and pursue further education and better themselves.
Amazing. Peter, thank you so much. And just to confirm, there has been no money exchanged between us today. Can I just confirm?
I'm still away. I'm awaiting. I know, I'm only joking. Obviously, yeah.
And what I'm really enjoying here is that, you know, the support, the kind of people that you're supporting, that disadvantaged, those that haven't had opportunities, or those, you know, that lack the confidence. And I also love the fact that you're sharing, you know, how just a few words on a piece of paper are making such a difference. So I've been doing this for 14 years, and I see it most days, but it's still the case, isn't it? By actually just knowing who we are, our uniqueness, appreciating it, you know, we just kind of sit up a bit straighter. And I am this is me, I can do this. And I just loved one that said, I can go to college. You know, I'm not dismissing anything that you guys have done in terms of the enormous amount of work that's gone on here, but some of these more sort of simple things that have been achieved here are life, changing, aren't they, for the learners that you're working with. So thank you both so much. Bridie, I also just want to kind of, obviously huge thanks to you. In terms of, I guess, I've heard you share some really kind of top tips. So things like that, the peer learning has been something that's been really valuable. What else would you say has made this a real success for you and Peter and the team?
Well, I was just going to add maybe to what you were saying there. What I like about the strengths profile, it seems to transcend over different kind of situations. So it works with young people who might be disengaged. But it also, I was actually really surprised with when we worked with people who were very successful in the workplace and how impactful their strengths guide was for them. So they've achieved a lot in their job. They're highly qualified, they'll all have postgraduate qualifications, and yet they leverage so much from the confidence around the strengths profile. So I just wanted to add that, as well, because when we worked with companies that were very senior, the strengths profile again resonated for them. And I was surprised about that. I thought that they, would have been aware of their strengths and more confident around their strengths. So I know I'm not really answering the question that you've asked me.
No, it's a good add-on. We as human beings, we don't often stop and smell the roses, do we? And think about all the amazing things that we've got.
So that was good. But no, definitely, as I say, look at this project, we're just a year in, Trudy, and it's very much like the pilots. We're gathering the information at the moment from our evaluations, and we're building and moving forward on it. So we've really touched the tip of the iceberg. Like, there's so much that we can do, and I suppose that's where we'll have to focus now on the next stage of this project and what is the most worthwhile piece. But it's really good in the sense that it's first of a kind, in that we evolved out of COVID. When we started this project, it was COVID. So all of a sudden we were thrown to this online environment, and we had to embrace this digitalization. And it's worked quite well, because people in the workplace, they do not have the luxury of coming in and meeting people face to face. They're very time precious, so they're able to interact with this now forum in online, and that's kind of the way that we see us working over the next while.
Yeah, and it looks really fun too. There's the medals, the gaining, the keeping people motivated throughout the journey as well has been really critical, hasn't it?
Absolutely.
Brilliant. Well, I'm conscious of time. We've also gone a little bit over, but a huge thank you, Patrick, for doing all the demoing and screen sharing. Thank you. Peter, thank you for coming along and making it real for us in terms of, and thank you for all the work that you do to support the people, the learners that come through your journey. And of course, a huge thank you to Bridie for leading this project and the importance of the work that you've done already. And I'm really excited to continue working with you, all of you, to continue those improvements around the platform itself, and of course to just keep on strengthening people. So thank you so much, and thank you for your time today in listening to Bridie, and I think you'll all join me in thanking Bridie for her time and the team's contribution for a brilliant platform. So thank you all indeed. If there's any final questions, feel free to pop them on. We will shortly stop the recording, but if there was anything burning that you have not had a chance to ask, please do, and we can stay on for the next minute or two. So take care, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon, evening, or morning, and we look forward to catching up with you soon.
Thanks very much.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Thank you.